Okay, so like how do you measure the success of an event?
Mm.
Beyond just like how many people showed up or what's trending on social media. I think today we should do a deep dive into figuring out how to really prove how valuable events and sponsorships can be.
Yeah, as events are definitely an investment, and like any investment, you want to track how it's doing.
For sure. It's about turning those parties with a purpose into wins you can actually measure, you know.
Mm.
And to help us out, we've got Measuring Success in Event and Sponsorship Procurement. It's an article by Procure for Marketing, and they have some pretty practical advice.
It's kind of like building a skyscraper, you
Right.
know? You need a strong foundation, those KPIs, like the steel beams that hold it all together. But then you got to add those design elements, the stuff that makes it stand out.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So let's start with the KPIs. The article talks about 5 of them. Which ones do you think are the most important?
Hmm. Well, they all have their place, but if I had to pick, I'd say return on investment and brand awareness are the most crucial side of them. ROI is obviously the financial side of things, but it's not just ticket sales. It's about the long game. Like, did the event bring in new business or help you keep customers?
That makes sense. But how do you measure those less tangible things? Like when an event is more about building the brand.
That's where brand awareness comes in. It's all about how the event changed how people see your brand.
Mm.
Like, were there a lot of media mentions? Were people talking about you on social media? You can even do surveys to see if people see your brand differently after the event.
So it's about seeing if the event actually made a difference in how people think about your brand.
Exactly. And these days we can really dig into the details. It's not just about how many people are talking about you, but also like, what are they saying? Are they saying good things? Are they using words that match your brand?
Wow, that's really interesting. So ROI and brand awareness are like our main pillars.
Yeah.
What about those other KPIs that the article mentioned, like lead generation, customer engagement, and sponsor satisfaction?
Those are definitely important too. I see them as like those supporting beams. Lead generation is huge. If your event is all about boosting sales or getting new customers, it's not just about how many leads you get, but also are they the right leads, the ones that are likely to become customers?
That ties into ROI for sure. You don't want to spend a ton of money on an event and get a bunch of leads that don't go anywhere.
Right. Now, customer engagement, that's all about how much people are actually participating during the event. Are they asking questions? Are they really interacting with your brand? If people are engaged, they'll probably remember the experience better and be more loyal to the brand.
And lastly, there's sponsor satisfaction.
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty straightforward. You want your sponsors to be happy, so they'll keep sponsoring your events.
Yeah.
But how do you make sure they're actually happy?
You got to dig deeper than just asking, hey, were you happy? You need to find out what parts of the sponsorship really worked for them. Did they get good leads? Was their brand visible enough? It's important to get that feedback so you can build those relationships and make sure future sponsorships really meet their needs.
Okay, so we've got our 5 KPIs, the foundation for measuring success. But how do we actually make these KPIs work for us? Like, what are the tools and techniques we can use to get the data and understand it?
Well, just like a skyscraper needs all kinds of materials, we need to use both quantitative and qualitative measures to get the full picture of how successful the event was. That's what we'll talk about next.
Sounds good. I'm ready to keep building.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've got those KPIs figured out. That's solid foundation for measuring success.
Yeah, now we got to bring those numbers to life, you know, make them tell a story.
Ooh, I love a good story. So how do we even start gathering all that data? It seems like it could get overwhelming pretty quickly.
You got to have a plan. Just like you wouldn't build a skyscraper without blueprints, we need a strategy for collecting data before the event even starts.
Okay, blueprints first. Got it. What are some of the essential things we need on those blueprints?
Well, you got to figure out what tools you're going to use to capture all that info. Will you have digital forms for people to sign up? Are you using event software to track registrations and attendance? Maybe even RFID wristbands to really see what people are doing?
RFID wristbands. That sounds kind of futuristic.
It's pretty cool. People wear these wristbands and they can use them for all sorts of things, like getting into different areas or even buying stuff. But the really cool part is the data they collect. You can see which sessions people went to, how long they stayed, even if they stopped by certain booths.
So you're not just seeing who was there, but how they experienced the whole thing.
That's amazing.
Exactly. And the best part is all happening in the background. People are just enjoying the event and you're getting all this valuable data without interrupting anything.
I like it. Sneaky and efficient. But even with all this tech, I'm guessing good old-fashioned feedback is still important, right?
Absolutely. You can learn so much from surveys after the event. Ask people about their favorite parts, what they thought overall, and even what could be better next time. So it's a mix of high tech and high touch. We're building a skyscraper here, remember? Got to have both steel and glass to make it shine.
Exactly. And once you've got all that data, the real fun begins. Turning it into insights you can actually use.
Okay, so now I've got spreadsheets full of numbers. How do I even begin to make sense of it all? Where's the story in all those numbers?
Well, first, you got to connect those numbers back to your goals. Remember those blueprints. Those goals are like our guiding stars. Did we actually achieve what we set out to do?
So if the goal was to get leads, we'd focus on how many qualified leads we got, not just the total number of people who showed up.
Exactly. And then you can start to look for patterns. Did some sessions generate more leads than others? Were there any trends in how people behave that could help us improve our lead generation strategy for next time?
I see. It's about finding those aha moments, the things that can help us make better decisions in the future.
Right. And don't keep all those insights to yourself. Share them with your team, your sponsors, even the higher-ups. Make those findings clear and compelling.
So it's not just about measuring success for ourselves. It's about showing everyone how valuable these events really are.
For sure. The more you can show that value, the more support you'll get to create even better events in the future.
This is great. We've talked about planning data collection, using both tech and traditional methods, analyzing the results, and sharing what we've learned. Are there any common mistakes we should try to avoid? Like any watch out for this moments?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of the biggest ones is getting caught up in what we call vanity metrics.
Vanity metrics?
Oh, God.
I'm intrigued.
These are metrics that might look impressive, but they don't really tell you much about how successful the event actually was. Things like how many social media followers you have or how many people visited your website. Those numbers might be going up, but are they actually leading to more engagement or sales?
I get it.
Yeah.
It's easy to get excited about big numbers, but we need to make sure those numbers are actually connected to our goals. What are some other traps to avoid?
Another common one is forgetting to include all the costs associated with the event. It's not just about the venue and the food. You also got to think about things like staff time, marketing materials, and even the time your team could have spent on other projects.
So a really accurate ROI calculation includes all those hidden costs, not just the obvious ones.
Right. And lastly, don't underestimate the power of qualitative data. Numbers are important, but they only tell part of the story. Make sure you're getting feedback, listening to what people are saying, and watching how they interact with your brand. That kind of insight can be just as valuable as any spreadsheet.
It's like the difference between looking at a blueprint and actually walking through the building.
Yeah.
You need both perspectives to really understand it. So we've laid a solid foundation for measuring event success. But I'm realizing that different types of events probably need different approaches. How do we adjust our measurement strategies for specific event formats?
That's a great point, and that's exactly what we'll focus on next.
All right, so we've got our measurement skyscraper all built. We know how to get the data, and we're steering clear of those traps. But like we were saying, not all events are the same.
Nope. A product launch is way different from like a customer appreciation event. And a virtual conference, that's a whole other beast compared to a big in-person thing.
Okay, so let's break it down. Let's say we're talking about a conference, one of those huge events where everyone in the industry comes together. How do you measure success there?
Conferences are interesting because you're often trying to do a bunch of things at once. You want to teach people, get leads, encourage networking, and make your brand look good. It's a lot to juggle.
So how do you keep track of all those moving parts?
One of the most important things is how satisfied the attendees are. Do they feel like they learned something useful? Did they make good connections? Did they have a good time overall?
Yeah, that makes sense. Happy attendees are more likely to come back next year and tell their friends about it too.
Right. Surveys after the conference are a really good way to gauge that satisfaction. Ask people about the speakers, the sessions, even the logistics of the event itself.
Speaking of speakers, I bet their engagement level is another big indicator of success.
Oh, definitely. You want speakers who can really grab the audience's attention, get people talking, and leave them feeling inspired.
How do you measure that, though? Do you just put someone in the back with one of those clap-o-meters?
Haha. Well, applause is always a good sign, but we can get a little more technical. You can track things like how many people participate in Q&A sessions or answer live polls. You can even see what people are saying about the speakers on social media. Are they tweeting quotes? Are they tagging the speakers in their posts? That kind of organic engagement is a really good sign.
It's like getting real-time feedback on how well the content is landing.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about lead generation, especially if the conference is about growing your business.
Right, conferences are like a giant networking event. How do you track those leads and make sure they're actually good quality?
You've got the classic methods like business cards and booth visits. But tech can be really helpful here too. You can use QR codes that people scan to get more info or sign up for your email list. You can even build lead capture forms right into the conference app.
So it's about making it super easy for people to connect with you while also getting the info you need to follow up with them.
Exactly. Now let's switch gears and talk about product launches. Those are all about building hype for something new.
Ah, yes. The big reveal. It's like a marketing crescendo.
You want to see a ton of mentions, shares, and positive buzz around your brand and the new product on social media?
So it's not just how much people are talking, but also what they're saying. Are they genuinely excited? Are they sharing their anticipation?
Right. And keep an eye on website traffic too. Did you see a spike in visits to your product page after the launch? Are people spending time checking out the details, watching videos, or signing up for updates?
That shows they're really interested. And I imagine pre-orders and those first sales numbers are the ultimate proof of success.
Definitely. Those numbers tell you if you've actually turned all that hype into action.
Okay, so we've covered conferences and product launches. What about events that are less about selling and more about building relationships, like customer appreciation events?
Those are all about showing your customers you care. And while ROI might not be the main goal, you still want to see how it affects customer loyalty and advocacy.
Right. Happy customers are more likely to stay with you and recommend you to others. So how do we capture that feel-good data?
Surveys after the event are key. You can ask people how likely they are to recommend your brand or keep doing business with you. You can also ask about their overall experience and what parts of the event they liked best.
So it's about understanding how the event strengthened those customer relationships.
For sure. And watch how those customers behave in the weeks and months after the event. Are they buying more? Are they opening your emails more often?
Those are great signs that they're still engaged. Okay, before we wrap up, we got to talk about virtual events. They're everywhere these days,
Yeah.
but measuring their success can feel like a whole different challenge.
Yeah, they definitely come with their own set of quirks. One of the biggest things is attendance and engagement. How many people registered for the event? How many actually showed up? How long did they stick around?
Yeah, it's so easy to sign up for something virtual and then get distracted, you know?
Happens all the time. That's why it's so important to track what people are doing within the virtual platform.
Yeah.
Most platforms give you data on how long people stayed in sessions, whether they participated in chats or polls, even if they downloaded any materials.
So you're looking for those signs of active participation, even if it's all happening online.
Exactly. And just like with in-person events, those post-event surveys are super valuable for getting feedback and seeing what resonated with people.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground here. We've talked about all kinds of events from massive conferences to small customer gatherings and how to adjust our measurement approach for each one. Any final words of wisdom?
I think the biggest takeaway is that measuring event success isn't about finding one perfect number. It's about gathering a whole bunch of data, both the numbers and the stories, and using that data to paint a complete picture. A picture that shows how valuable your events really are, helps you make smarter decisions, and ultimately creates even better experiences for everyone involved.
I love that.
Yeah.
It reminds us that measuring events is both an art and a science. You need the numbers, but you also need to listen to the stories. Watch how people behave, and remember that human element that makes events so special.
Perfectly said. So as you plan your next event, don't just think about the logistics and the budget. Think about the story you want to tell. Think about the data you need to tell that story. And most importantly, have fun with it.
That's a wrap on this deep dive into measuring event success. We hope you learned a few things and are feeling ready to take your events to the next level.
Until next time, keep those events awesome and keep that data coming.